How have recent historical events affected the course of research in organizational psychology? Give an example and the resulting outcome. COVID 19 is one example of a recent historical event that has affected the course of research in organizational psychology. COVID 19 has affected almost every aspect of humans' way of life across the globe, with many more effects that we have yet to see. The unemployment levels in the United States have not experienced a recession like this since the Great Depression. The unemployment level was around 3% in February of 2020, right before the massive reports of contagious virus swept the nation. By April of 2020, unemployment rates were at almost 15%. Those with a college education were more likely to telework and remain employed than those with only a high school diploma. Unemployment rates for people between the ages of 20 to 24 rose to 20%. Our economy was rattled at every level and down to our supply chain. Almost every organization has had to change in how jobs and work are performed. With schools closing down, many parents were placed in the position of being out of work and having to stay at home with their child. This pandemic brought a revamp to the way that we live, communicate, and operate. It has shown a significant light on what a crucial role technology has within our society. While we are still witnessing the outcomes from this pandemic and likely for a long time to come, one thing is certain: the working world as we once knew it is no longer. A research article from the Journal of Applied Cognitive Psychology in 2021 conducted a cross sectional study at a Wuhan hospital designated for inpatients with COVID 19, assessing COVID 19 exposure, psychological symptoms, appraisals, and coping strategies in participants. Results revealed that the pandemic strikingly affected healthcare workers' mental well being through appraisal and coping, with 38.9% reporting high levels of psychological symptoms. The International Association of Applied Psychology in 2021 performed a mixed methods investigation to explore the challenges experienced by remote workers at this time. In one study from semi structured interviews with Chinese employees working from home in the early days of the pandemic, the study identified four key remote challenges: work home interference, ineffective communication, procrastination, and loneliness, as well as four virtual work characteristics that affected the experience of these challenges: social support, job autonomy, monitoring, and workload. And one key individual difference: the worker's self discipline. There have been many historical events that have transformed organizational psychology, though I predict none will have the effects quite like COVID 19. We have begun to see firsthand just how intelligent the world of artificial intelligence is. With these technological advances at a time where human intellect is vulnerable, I anticipate that we will soon be on the brink of a global competitive endeavor against technology. As the pandemic has provided the opportunity for technology to outperform humans. Once the dust settles and the mass subside, it is an unpredictable where we will stand from an organizational, employee, and employer standpoint. I am currently enrolled in my first semester in my first year at Liberty University's graduate of Industrial Organizational Psychology program. Online classes present socialization challenges, but overall, I've been pretty impressed with Liberty's online structure and format. So far, I've gotten to do a couple of webinars, which have been really helpful with live instructional meetings where I can actually go in and ask questions to professionals and get instant feedback like APA formatting, and it's been very helpful. My statistics class holds supplemental video conferences twice a week. That's been really neat because it's my classmates and myself with the TA, and it's all firsthand right there. It's kind of like being in the classroom. We can kind of collaborate and go over things and learn together. My statistics professor also put us into study groups at the beginning of the year, which was neat because it introduced us to other classmates and we're in constant collaboration with each other, going over things and learning together. Each of my three classes hold weekly or bi-weekly discussions on appointed topics, and that's been fun because We kind of get to see what everyone else's take on the learning for that week has been. We get to go in and assess and read over our classmates' thoughts and provide feedback. Also, each of my 3 classes had an intro section for their classes, and that was cool because it was an introduction to myself and my fellow classmates. And it was really neat getting to learn about the different demographics that Liberty University encompasses. In terms of job embeddedness, if I was viewing my graduate program so far as if it was a career, I would be satisfied, mainly because my main criteria when assessing a job or a field of interest is my personal precedence weighs heavily on the degree of feedback I'm able to receive. I feel like I am in constant communication, or if I need to be, I can be with my instructors. And as of right now, I'm very happy with the level of communication I've received from each of my 3 professors. Liberty also offered an online orientation class. Now, I didn't attend, but it was nice to know that they had something like that in place if you felt like you needed it or needed some more help with the socialization process. The advising staff calls me quite regularly, so if I ever have any questions, they're there to answer anything I need, and that's really been great. How can organizations reduce or prevent work-family conflict? Work-family conflicts, or WFCs, are conflicts in the workplace that spill over to your family or conflicts from your family that spill over into the work. This can create negative effects for an organization. There are ways to try to prevent or reduce work-family conflicts. Organizations can implement benefits. These are termed work-family policies. These are policies to help employees inside and outside of work. Such policies are benefits for elder care, benefits for parenting, benefits for education, volunteering, or self-care, such as exercising or visiting the doctor. Providing health care or a gym membership can go a long way. Implement an autonomous and family-friendly work environment. It's always great to know that you have a supportive company and organization behind you. Set a relatable atmosphere. When you have diverse cultures in a company, it's great to know that you're understood and that there's help if you need it. When looking at specific benefits, my favorite one is on-site childcare. This can be extremely advantageous. And actually, a lot of Fortune 500 companies provide on-site childcare for their employers. This is just amazing because so many workers are also parents, or you could also say that parents are workers. So it would be really nice to have a work atmosphere where you know that your kids are safe and you're not having to constantly worry about them. Also, organizations can offer work from home. We talked about this with the COVID-19 pandemic. Being able to work from home provides autonomy, and it can drastically reduce work-family conflict by being able to be there and set your own schedule and doing your work via Zoom or teleworking so you can be there for your family and your organization. Forming a good relationship with your supervisor is also essential to reducing work-family conflict. If you can manage these work-family conflicts, it can reduce turnover, increase motivation, and increase job satisfaction. Imagine you have been asked to develop a performance assessment program for employee development. What techniques could you use to adequately evaluate employee performance as comprehensively as possible? One of the main areas in IO psychology is identifying job performance. This is a major reason behind a lot of the research involving things like motivation, leadership, stress, and like we just talked about, WFCs. Job performance can be defined as the behaviors that employees engage in while at work that contribute to an organizational goal and individual goal and their efforts. But there are so many different types of jobs, it's hard to set specific criteria for job performance. There's so many levels to each job, and there's so many different types of jobs. It's hard to find a way to properly assess job performance that's specific to every job across the board. So Murphy created a list of 8 ways to assess job performance. One is paper pencil test. 2 is the job skills test. 3 is on-site hands-on testing. 4 is off-site hands-on testing. 5 is high-fidelity simulations. 6 is symbolic simulations. 7 is task ratings. And 8 is global ratings. 2 of the most common assessments are ratings of employee performance on specific tasks and their overall job performance. To do this, you need to have someone assess performance. And it can't just be by anyone. You need to have someone that adequately understands all of the dynamics of that particular job that you're assessing and the workplace, all of the settings, everything, all the variables that make a job what it is and make the individual who performs that job the person that they are. So if I was put in charge of assessing job performance, I would do this through evaluations, but not just regular evaluations. These would be coworker evaluations from your coworkers all the way from the supervisor level down to the custodial level. Evaluations from everyone to everyone at every level to that you deal with all the time, that you see every day, the people that know you, that know your job, the insides and outsides of everything that you do on a day in, day out basis. That's how I would assess job performance, with evaluations to determine if somebody's adequately fulfilling their job role. What are some possible common organizational constraints? How could they lead to counterproductive behaviors? Counterproductive work behaviors, or CWBs for short, are behaviors that cause organizational constraints. There can be many reasons for these CWBs. Most common are individually based. Everywhere you go, in almost any group setting, you can find at least one individual that just does not play well with others. They can create CWBs out of spite or to receive a desired reaction from a coworker, or it could be their personalities. Some people have certain personality traits, and some of these personality traits consist of conscientiousness, trait anger, self-control, and narcissism. These types of personalities can be subject to deceitful tendencies or self-organizational or coworker sabotage. Another common reason for these constraints may also be due to situational based factors. Main areas for these situational factors in CWBs are norms, the social norms that are in organizations. People are known to adapt to their environment. So organizations that have social norms that fit the organization then might not always fit the organization, or an individual can come in that might disrupt their social norms. For instance, if an organization or a company, every Thursday and Friday they go to happy hour, a new employee's hired, and all of a sudden his work family conflicts start kicking in. He's not home in time for the wife, and then from there we've got CWBs can spill over. So you can have your conflict work behaviors spill over to your work family conflicts. Stress. Certain jobs impose a great deal of stress, and for certain individuals in certain situations, They just process stress differently. Some may thrive under pressure, while others may crack. And they might have to leave their job because of this, because they can't handle it. And that's an example of a counterproductive work behavior. Another is injustice. In my working experience and many others, this seems to be a major element of CWBs. People feel as if they're being treated unfairly, or that they're underpaid, or that people that have been at the company for a shorter amount of time are receiving more incentives or bonuses. This can lead to constraints and feelings of injustice.